Dear students, welcome to virtual classroom of Municipal Corporation of Greater Mumbai. I am Sreekumar. The class is for 10th standard students. Subject is mathematics. Let me begin the class. Dear students, in the last video you studied about distance formula, and by this time you must have applied it in the exercise number 5.1, and I hope that you must have enjoyed it. Now you need to remember that formula to understand further. And if you have not gone through the last video, I have given the link to that video in the description. Go to that video, understand, try to do the exercise number 5.1, then come back and continue with this video, because this video will be showing further and more application of what we say the distance formula. So what is in this video, and that is very important. I think you remember this particular figure which you have studied in the first chapter also, as well as in 9th standard also. There are three parallel lines which are named as L, M and N, and there is an intersecting lines like P and Q, and there are intersecting points which you can see as A, B, C here, D, E, F here. When parallel line, intersecting lines, all this comes, lot of things should come in your mind. When there was a single intersecting line, you studied about different angles formed by that. You also studied about, in the case of basic proportionality theorem, when such intersection happens, the sides of the triangle divides proportionally, that you studied in first chapter. So here also, in this case also, you should remember that the property of intercepts made by these here three parallel lines are there. It tells us that AB upon BC will be equal to DE upon EF according to the theorem. That you should remember now. I said you should remember now. There are three things you should remember before proceeding. So remember the concept that what happens when parallel lines are intercepted by another line, the proportionality of the intercepted points. Now, next you should remember about something you studied about line segment and its proportionate division. For example, here is a line segment which can be said as AB, and one point is here P. The point P is dividing this line segment in a particular ratio, maybe 6 centimeter and 10 centimeter. The total can be 16 centimeter if we think. Unit is not given, so 16 unit I can say. 16 units are there, but 6 units are here, 10 units are here, maybe centimeter, meter or kilometer. So we can say that in this figure AP is equal to 6 and PB is equal to 10. AP upon PB can be written as 6 upon 10. The ratio of the size or the distance between AP and PB can be written as in the ratio 3:5. Correct? Or yeah, 3 upon 5. This is the second thing that you should remember. So I said something to remember, which I named as second thing to remember. Now we can simply say that point P divides the line segment in the ratio 3:5. Correct? Now let us remember something else which we recently studied. It is about distance formula. Distance formula we derived using the coordinate of those 2 points of which distance we wish to find out. Here in this case it was AB, and we derived the formula. The distance AB can be measured or found if you know the coordinates of these 2 points A and B, and coordinate of those points we know clearly because we studied about it in this lesson and in previous year also. The coordinate of a point on a number line, that thing extended to a graphical representation, and we could reach to the conclusion of distance formula in the last video. That's why last video is important, and we applied that in different situation. So distance formula, you should remember, that is the third thing you are going to remember here. So first it was about line intercepts on a set of three parallel lines. Okay, then you should remember this distance formula. So you remember about the concept of ratio. So let us go ahead. Learn what is in fact section formula tells about. Section formula, as the name indicate, it tells us about how to find out the division, or if a segment is divided into two or more points, at two or more points, how can we find out the coordinate of those points, or how can we better define those points? So that means we are going to get into coordinates of those particular line segment and find out. You are familiar with the concept of coordinates, and you are also very clear about x-axis, y-axis, and all such things are very clear to you. Otherwise you should be very thorough before proceeding. Suppose this is the line segment, and we know that if you are asked to find out the distance between A and B, you will easily find out, because you will use distance formula for that, right? Suppose that there is another point P in between. If you are asked to find out what is the coordinates of point P, now it is not possible until we derive a section formula. For that we need to apply whatever knowledge we have here. We also know that if you try to draw perpendicular from A, P and B to the x-axis, these are perpendiculars, it can be marked like this. Okay, these are perpendiculars, and these are all parallel with each other. That is why I told you to remember those things. These are parallel lines. If these are parallel lines, and if you consider APB as what we say, the line segment which is passing through these parallel lines, we know that they are having a proportionate the intercepts. It will apply the principle of proportionate intercept. And also we know that if you try to find out the coordinates of this point, we can, though it is not given, we can at least designate it with the help of x and y. So let us think, if we are trying to find out the coordinates over here, let it mark it as x, y at P, and in that case we know that this also will be x, but y will be 0. These are the coordinates, we know that. So in that case let us mark this as x1, y1 like before, and x2, y2 as the coordinate of these points. And again, as I told you, this will be x1 and 0 because it is here, and x2 and 0. These are the coordinates of these points. If these are the coordinates of these points, all A, P, B, and I would like to name these points as A, B, C here, P and Q here, and B and D here. We are having the coordinates of A, P, B, C, Q and D now, right? And also if you are asked to find out the distance between CQ or QD, it is very easy to tell the distance, because we know that CQ will be equal to x minus x1. Look here, x minus x1. If the question is the distance between QD, if you are thinking about QD, we will say that it is equal to x2 minus x, right? This we can very easily say, very easily. And also we can say that AC is parallel to PQ and PQ is parallel to BD, because these are perpendicular, and we know that interior total angle is equal to 180 degree, because this is 90 degree, this is 90 degree, this is 90 degree, this also 90 degree. That means all these are parallel. So there is no problem in writing this also. And we also can write, we can also write that AP upon PB will be the same proportion will be there between CQ upon QD. Correct? So this also can be written very easily, and for the convenience we can say that the ratio between AP and PB and CQ and QD will be similar to M upon N. For our convenience of handling this equation, we denote it as M and N. In that case, we can very easily say that here we are using the what we say, this case we are using the property of intercepts, which you just I reminded you. Okay, the property of intercepts on three parallel line, that particular theorem we are using here, parallel line. Okay, in that case AP upon PB, CQ upon QD is equal to M upon N. Now if you are asked to find out CQ, it's already we wrote CQ is equal to X minus X1. I mean I'm rewriting CQ upon QD here, which can be written as X minus X1, and QD can be written as X2 minus X, you can see here. So in that case we can say that these are equal to M upon N here from here. All these when clubbed together, we can write an equation for M and N, or in terms of M and N we can write. That means we can do a cross multiplication here. So we will write it in the form of N into X minus X1 is equal to M into X2 minus X, right? If I think of bringing all those with if I think of rearranging it in such a way that I can write this as Nx minus Nx1 is equal to Mx2 minus Mx, right? I can write it like this. And if I think of putting it in terms of x, or bringing x terms to the left side, I can write it as Nx, bring that minus Mx as plus Mx, and keep Mx2 here and take this over there and put it as Nx1, right? This way also it can be rearranged. In that case, x into n plus m, right? N plus m, m plus n is equal to, here we are having nothing common, so we will put it as mx2 plus nx1. Or I can write x is equal to mx2 plus nx1 upon m plus n, the same one. So we conclude this way. X can be found using a formula. My dear students, I reached to a formula to find out x, जो हमारे खोज था. Understood? So there is a scope in this formula. We could find out x. We can find out x. If what is to be given, then the ratio to be given, the coordinates of x1 and x2 should be given. Then we can find out coordinates of x1, x2, and the ratio is given, then we can get the coordinates of p. In that x we can get. If we can get x, the same formula can be used for getting y also. So then how the formula will be, for your convenience of seeing it, I am writing it over here. It will come like this. Instead of x it will be y, and instead of mx2 it will be my2. Instead of nx1 it will be ny1, and instead of m plus n it will be m plus n. You can simply write that n plus m or m plus n. So even formula for y can be derived. One formula here, one formula, please bear with me, लिखे border तक आ गया. Okay, so these two formula can be used to find out x and y coordinates of p, provided कभी find out कर सकते हैं अगर आपको x1 y1 x2 y2 मालूम है तो वही तो बोला था, a और b कोऑर्डिनेट दिए तो p कोऑर्डिनेट फाइंड आउट कर सकते हैं क्या? ओके, इट कैन बी फाउंड बाय दिस फॉर्मूला. ग्रेट अचीवमेंट. सो यू हैव टू बाय हार्ट दिस फॉर्मूला. बाय हार्ट करने के पहले कैसे ये फॉर्मूला आया ये समझ में आए तो बाय हार्ट करने में भी कुछ मजा आता है. सो वी कैन बाय हार्ट इट नाउ बिकॉज द फॉर्मूला कैन बी डिराइव्ड. फॉर्मूला इज राइट. How can I say that formula is right? For that I should do some sums and I should apply the formula. That will do immediately, no problem. But section formula will help you to find out where exactly the coordinates of point P, if you know the coordinates of A and B. अभी ऐसा बोले तो आपको बहुत कुछ important चीज़ मालूम है अभी. Now by using this formula you can do many things. You can find out many things. So my dear student, distance formula and section formula and application of intercepts of parallel lines and the concept of ratio, altogether we succeeded in making section formula. Section formula very important, you will by heart it. अभी हम उसकी application कैसे कर सकते हैं देखता हूँ. Coordinates of midpoint of a segment. वापस सेगमेंट आ गया. ये सेगमेंट का स्पेक्युलरिटी क्या है? एक सेगमेंट है, सेगमेंट का पॉइंट दिया कि ए बी दिया, ठीक है, ए बी दिया है. यू आर आस्क्ड टू फाइंड आउट मिड पॉइंट. मिड पॉइंट बोले तो रेशियो क्या होगा? 1:1 होगा. तो 1 m is 1 n is 1 अपना m is 1. तो देन इन दैट केस दिस इज अ फॉर्मूला. m प्लस n मतलब 1+1 होगा ना. ओके, x फाइंड आउट करने का फॉर्मूला में डाल दिया. x2 x1 सब दिया है, x2 y2 x1 y1. सो वी कैन फाइंड आउट. वी आर पुटिंग इट इन द फॉर्मूला ऑफ x, mx2 and x1 m plus n. m plus n means m and n are equal here, so it became 2m. Correct? And this we could m is equal to n. So this we could write as m into x1 x2 x1 plus x2 upon 2. Good. Here y1 plus y. If the matter is of midpoint, you will simply add x1 plus x2 upon 2 will give you x. What is x here? The point P ka x coordinate. What is y here? Point P ka y coordinate. What is the formula? y1 plus y2. What is the condition? Midpoint में है P है तो P midpoint में होना मांगता है. तो हमने सेक्शन फॉर्मूला अप्लाई करके P का कोऑर्डिनेट्स फाइंड आउट कर सकता है. इधर हमको 1:1 क्यों हुआ? क्योंकि वो मिड पॉइंट. लेकिन अगर 1:1 नहीं है जैसे इधर दिया है, 2:3 है, A पॉइंट दिया, B पॉइंट दिया, क्यों डिवाइड कर रहे हैं? मतलब मैं इधर ड्रॉ करना पड़ेगा. एक लाइन सेगमेंट है, ये है, B है. A का 3 and 5, B का 7 and 9 कोऑर्डिनेट्स. Q is here somewhere, 2:3 है. सो ए बी इन द रेशियो Q:3. इधर एक पॉइंट है जिसको हमको बोल सकते ये 2 है तो ये 3 है रेशियो में. तो 2 और 3 क्या हो गया? m and n हो गया. राइट? देखो x1 y1 दिया है, x2 y2 दिया है. फॉर्मूला तो बाय हार्ट ही किया है हमने. x फाइंड आउट करने सब्सटीट्यूट किया, x कोऑर्डिनेट मिल गया. y फाइंड आउट करने के लिए सब्सटीट्यूट किया, y कोऑर्डिनेट मिल गया. This is the point where either Q is. So section formula has to do this. What is this? Find the coordinates of point P. If P is midpoint पहले के जैसा, but AB with A is -4 and 2, B is 6 and 2. Coordinates of point P. क्या दिया है? AB is the line segment. It is given here. P is the midpoint. तो ये 1:1 हो गया पहले के जैसा. तो 1:1 है तो हम 1:1 लिखेंगे. Now 1:1 is m plus n will be m. This is m, this is n, and the formula में m plus n x1 x2 upon 2. Here it is simple because it is midpoint. So no need of formula also. Without formula you can find out because it is midpoint. Midpoint होने की वजह से x plus 1 plus x2 upon 2 किया, y1 plus up. ये तो सिंपल हो गया मिड पॉइंट होने की वजह से. बिकॉज वी फाउंड ए मिड पॉइंट फॉर्मूला हियर. आई विल जस्ट शो यू बैक. कोऑर्डिनेट्स ऑफ मिड पॉइंट, द फॉर्मूला डिराइव्ड हियर. वी आर अप्लाइंग द फॉर्मूला डायरेक्टली व्हेन एवर मिड पॉइंट कम्स. बीच में वो 2:3 वाला आया. सो एग्जाम्पल 1 में. सो देन यू हैव टू अप्लाई सेक्शन फॉर्मूला. हियर इट इज एप्लीकेशन ऑफ मिड पॉइंट फॉर्मूला. सेंट्रॉइड फॉर्मूला, ये क्या होता है? सेंट्रॉइड फॉर्मूला, सेंट्रॉइड क्या है मालूम होना पड़ेगा. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, दिस इज अ ट्रायंगल. Then what is the centroid of a triangle? It is connected with a triangle. That's why centroid of a triangle. A, B, C are the vertex of triangle, and we are marking it, and there is a midpoint. We are connecting it together, and the point where all these three midpoint meet, we call it a centroid. What is its property? The property is that centroid, if you take the length of ABC, D डालो, either E डालो, either F डालो, AD, then this will be 2:1. 2:1. 2:1. Equal नहीं है, ratio. Ratio of that segment connecting it to the midpoint of opposite side will be, the centroid will be dividing it in the ratio 2:1. So centroid दिए तो 2:1 ratio हो गया. Understood? This is what you should remember. Now, if in such a case, if there is a centroid, I want to tell you about, if there is centroid like this in a particular line segment I am connecting, which is connecting the vertices of a triangle to the opposite side midpoint, and there is a point called centroid. Now the question is, or our idea is, to develop a centroid formula, can we find out the coordinates of this point? For that, you should have given this point, and the ratio 2:1 is given. It can be found, no doubt. But can we develop a formula for it? Then we will substitute on the formula and get the answer quickly. For that, we should write this, let this be xy, y, x1, y1. अगर ये x1, y1 लिखा, अगर b2 को x2, y2 लिखा, because it is a different point. This can be x3, y3 because it is a different location. All will be having different value, and we are sure about it. Now we are asked to find out this particular point, this be D and this be G. G का coordinate ढूंढना है हमको. Let us put it as xy. Okay, जो unknown है हम xy डालेंगे. इसलिए इधर x1, y1 इधर गया, x2, y2 इधर गया, x3, y3 इधर गया. We have defined all these 3 points, and the centroid is xy. We are trying to find out whether we can derive a formula to find out it. So if we are thinking about the point D over here, क्योंकि we know that to get this point we should get A and D. D मिले तो हो जाएगा. अभी D मिलने के लिए हमारे पास BC है और ये 1:1 proportion में है. Correct? Because this is midpoint. ये midpoint होने की वजह से ये 1:1 proportion में है. अगर ये 1:1 proportion, if it is like that, we can use these particular coordinates to develop a formula to find out the point D. To get the point D, to get the x coordinate of D, we need to have, applying the formula, we will have, as the ratio is 1:1, we will be simply writing x2 plus x3 upon 2, midpoint formula. And to get the point Y, which is the other coordinate of D, we will write, this is xy. This is, to get the other point of this one, y coordinate of D, we will write y2 plus y3, correct? y2 plus y3 upon 2. So we will write this as the coordinates of D, my dear students. We got the coordinates of D now. If you got the coordinates of D, then coordinate of A, you can find out this particular coordinate because the ratio is known to us. And in that case, you will be applying the section formula. So, we are trying to get the point G coordinates. How we will be getting? By using section formula. सेक्शन फॉर्मूला तो हम अभी डिराइव किया था, हमको बाय हार्ट भी है. करेक्ट? देखता हूँ. सेक्शन फॉर्मूला वी विल अप्लाई हियर. To apply section formula, we should be thorough with the section formula. We should know the section formula which we just derived. What was it? 1x can be calculated by mx2 n x1 upon m plus n. Y can be calculated by the formula m y2, same way, n y1 upon m plus n, right? If this is the case, why can't we apply that over here? mx2, m is denoting the ratio, n is denoting the ratio, x2, x1 are there. We will apply that formula here in order to get the location of G, which is 2:1 ratio. So here it is. How will we do that? To make it very clear to you, let us put this as m and this as n. Let n be 1, m be 2. In that case, we will write 2 into 2 into the point in the case of what we say x2, we are having this one here, that is x2 plus x3 upon 2 plus, right, 1 into x1, that is this one. This is of D. Actually, I should copy this x2 plus x3 upon 2 as x coordinate of D and y2 plus y3 upon 2 as y coordinate of D. So this one we used. Then in the case of 1 into x1, this one. Okay, and m plus n. M की जगह पे we are having 2 and n की जगह पे 1. Right? Now we know that this is equal to 3. Correct? Here x1 to x2 plus x3 can be written as, this will get cancelled, it will be written as x2 plus x3 plus x. And for finding out y coordinate like this, we will write 2 into y2, this one, y2 plus y3 upon 2, correct, plus 1 into y1. That also will be turning into y1 plus y2 plus y3, same way, upon 3. So we got a formula like this. This is for x, this is for y, to find out what is the value of the coordinates of centroid. We call this formula altogether. What is this? The formula, this formula, and this formula as centroid formula. Centroid formula will help us to find out the centroid of a triangle, provided if the vertex coordinates are given. So that way we can solve the situation. If vertices are given, we will find out the centroid coordinate of a triangle. That is the beauty of it. Okay. Now we need to apply this in different type of situation to make us confident and clear about how these section formula, centroid formula, midpoint formula, distance formula is how can we use it in different situation. So you remember all these formula. That is what is first required. First one was a section formula. This is a section formula. Then it was midpoint formula. Now it is centroid formula. Formula by heart करना इसे, but formula by heart करने के पहले how the formula derived. If you know that, you will become confident and you will feel interested to learn that. Here are certain situational applications. I will explain it to you because it is example from your textbook. If point T divides the segment AB with A coordinate -7 and 4, B coordinate -6 and 5, in the ratio 7:2, find the coordinates of T. तो आपको रेशियो दिया है, इसका कोऑर्डिनेट फाइंड आउट करना है. Simply apply in the formula. Very simply apply the formula. You will get the coordinates of both x and y with respect to the point T. Here is another question where P is given as -4 and 6, divides the line segment AB with A and B as RS. B नहीं दिया है, लेकिन P का दिया है. Again, we are asked to learn the ratio of the section formula में ratio बहुत important है. So by section formula we will substitute, but in this case x is given, P point is given, the other point y is given. What is not given is the coordinates of B is not given. You will get the coordinates of B respectively. Section formula is used, but section formula is used normally to find out the point P, which is either in the middle or in a particular ratio. But here the P point, P coordinates are given, so naturally you will find out B. Here is another situation, a collinear line is there APB and A is given, B is given. Find the ratio in which P is also given. Ratio पूछा है. That means M and N पूछा है. M और N हमारे पास नहीं है. देखो M और N नहीं है. हम और N ढूंढने के लिए हम जो बाकी दिया है substitute करने के बाद we can rearrange it in such a way that 2M is equal to 4N. That means M upon N is equal to 4 upon 2, which is equal to 2:1. Ratio ही तो पूछा है. So no issue. Now let us consider this particular special sum. Find the coordinates of points of trisection of the segment joining the points A and B. The 2 points that divide the line segment in 3 equal parts are called points of trisection. आपको क्या समझ में आना है? Here is a line segment, roughly drawing, and A and B are the end points, and it is trisection has been done by 2 points. Let us put 2 points, one as P and another as Q. अभी क्या हुआ? 1, 2, 3. The line segment are divided into 3, so we call it as trisection. Another thing is 3 equal parts. That means AP is equal to PQ, PQ is equal to QB. If AP is equal to PQ, PQ is equal to QB, if you want to find out, if you are trying to find out AP upon PB, AP upon PB, then what it would be? We know that AP is equal to PQ is equal to QB. Then AP upon PB will be equal to AP upon PQ plus QB, which can be equal to AP upon AP plus AP, or which can be equal to 1 upon 2. It's very clear. AP upon PB will be having a ratio. Let us consider this as 1 unit to 1 unit, 1 unit. The ratio of AP upon PB means 1 upon 2. Correct? So that is applicable to all the points here. AP, PQ, QB. Understood? So let us go ahead. The point divides segment AP in the ratio 1:2. So we got ratio, and we have the coordinates given at the beginning itself. Coordinates are given of P. Coordinates of A and B are given. So A and B if given, you can find out P, because you know the ratio is 1:2. So that is what we are doing here. What we are doing here is we have the ratio 1:2. So M plus N is 1 plus 2. 1 into -7, x equals to minus x1. Applying the formula, we got x coordinate of P then y coordinate of P, in that case, point Q also divides in the same ratio 2:1, so we'll get x coordinate of Q and y coordinate of Q. If you got all these coordinates of a trisection, then coordinates of one trisection we can write it as 0, -1 and 0 as the point of P, and that of Q as -4 and 2. So even trisection or more than that we can find with the help of.
Dear students, welcome to virtual classroom of Municipal Corporation of Greater Mumbai. I am Sreekumar. The class is for 10th standard students. Subject is mathematics. Let me begin the class.